Hello chess friends, and welcome to the game 1 from the match between Alexander Grischuk and Jan Nepomniachtchi played on the FIDE Grand Prix in Moscow 2019. They are both fighting for a title of the winner, and this is the first game from that match. Alexander opened it with d4, and after knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, and d5. We have a Greenfield exchange or variation, c capture on a d5, and knight capture on d5. After that, e4, which is the main move, knight capture on c3, pawn capture on c3, and we have bishop to g7. So here we have a few moves to go, and Alexander chooses one of the main, and he goes with the knight to f3. After that we have c5, attacking the pawn on the d4, and right here he can defend the pawn and support it with the bishop to e3, but he played bishop to e2. And after knight to c6, it's a really big pressure on the pawn on d4 square, and if you try to defend it with the bishop e3, then black can take on d4. So he played d5, he passed the pawn and played d5, attacking the knight. But after that, bishop capture on c3, which is a check, and the rook is under attack. After bishop to d2, bishop captures the rook on a1, and queen captures the rook. Right here it looks that black is up with material, so he's playing with the rook against the bishop, which is the up for exchange. So knight to d4 we have, and after knight capture d4, pawn capture d4, and queen capture d4, we have the position where white is controlling all dark squares, because his bishop from the d2 and the queen from the d4 are on a very good positions, and they're controlling all dark squares, especially on the diagonal from a1 to h8. And rook on h8 is under attack, so he make the castle. And after that, white also make the castle, and we have queen to b6. Idea of black is to simplify position and reduce material, but that's not a good thing for white, so he wants to keep the tensions on the board, and the queen goes to c3. After that, bishop to d7, and we have bishop to h6, threat to mate in one with the queen on g7 square. And because of that, he cannot move the rook from f8. There's no enough time for that, so he needs to stop the mate threat. And yeah, the only way to do that is to push the pawn. But if we try something like queen to f6, let's see what will happen. After that, he will go with e5, sorry, and attacking the queen. So queen goes to h4, and after that, bishop capture on f8. So if the rook capture f8, then queen goes to c7, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn on the b7, and that will make a lot of pressure on the white pieces, on the black pieces. So he goes that way, and after bishop to h6, we have f6, and after that, bishop captured the rook. So first rook play move in between, so he goes on a c file, attacking the queen. When the queen was moved on f3, he's able to capture on f8 with his king. And after that, white play e5, wants to trade the pawns on f6. He's making the pressure there, and the king to g7. After that, e capture on f6, e capture on f6, and we have h3. Material is equal right now, but white is playing with a strong pawn on d5. So idea is to advance with the pawn, but right now he's not able to do that, and let's see what happened. So queen goes to d6, completely lock the pawn on d file, and after that, queen d3, we have h5, and after that, queen to d2. Black start to push the pawn on the queen side. He goes with the b5. After that, queen goes to a5, attacking the pawn on a7, and also making the pressure on the pawn on the square b5, because it's already under attack from bishop from the square e2. So we have a6 connecting the pawns and defend the pawn on the b5. After that, bishop goes to f3. We have bishop to e8. After that, h 4 and bishop to f7, once again making the pressure on the d5, and after that g3, so rook to c4 was played, after that rook to d1, giving support for the d pawn, and rook to c2. This move can be very useful for black if he is able to move the queen on the c5 square, and after that attack the pawn on f2. And because of that, white wants to kick out the rook from c2 square, and he goes with the bishop to e4, and the rook goes back to c8. After that, bishop goes back to g2, rook to c7, bishop to f3, and after that the rook goes to c4 once again, bishop to g2. It looks that white is playing very passive, and king to g8, bishop to f3. Alexander is looking for a draw here, king to h7, king to g2, f5, and after that queen goes back to d2 square, and white is playing very passively. Because of that, black starts with some attack on the queen side, so he goes with the b4, and after that queen e3, we have a rook to c7, rook to d3, and a5. After that, white offer pawn for trade, pushing to a3, and black played b capture on a3, and in this particular position they agree for a draw. But let's try to see what can happen in the future. After b capture on a3, it's white to move, so he needs to take the pawn on a3 and rook capture on a3. After that, we can expect that the black will capture on the d5, which is a very good line. So bishop capture on d5 and the rook capture on a5. This bishop is under attack, so if the bishop capture on f3, queen capture on f3, and after this forced line, it is a completely draw position. No one of them cannot improve the position of his pieces, and the game will result with a draw if no one of them will make any big blunder in this position. So yeah, okay, that was the game 1 between the grandmasters Alexander Grischuk and Jan Nepomniachtchi, played on the standard time control on the FIDE Grand Prix in Moscow 2019. I hope you enjoyed this analysis, and see you. Bye bye.